For example, between the summer 2008 and the summer 2010, that is between the moment when the market topped and the moment when it began to recover after several months of severe contraction, the volume of transaction in the contemporary painting segment shrank by 11%, whereas demand for photography was stable, with just as many photos sold in a relatively downbeat year 2010 as in the peak year 2008. As you are not aware, demand for artworks in general considerably expanded over the last decade, and auction prices shot up for contemporary paintings and sculpture, particularly at the high end of the market. High end of the market is works costing more than $100,000. This sharp price inflation not only has a spin-off effect on the price of contemporary photography. In fact, at the beginning of the new century, certain collectors identified photography as a good alternative investment, particularly the fresher creation that appealed more to the personality of the younger collectors, more active and happening than the antique segment. Demand and consequently the prices of contemporary photography started to rise at an astonishing pace. Today, more than half of the annual global auction revenue from photography is generated by contemporary creation. So the price rise consolidated in 2004. This is a key year in the market, on the back notably of the sale of the Baron Lambert collection at Philips de Pury and Company in New York. The sale was the 8th November 2004, and indeed that sale produced some spectacular results with, for example, this work by Charles Ray. It is an entitled work. This work fetched, this is a self-portrait, and it fetched $470,000. This is a limited edition of 4. Next, for example, with Haios by Mike Kelly. This is a work composed with 8 cyberchromes, and it is produced in a limited edition of 10. This work fetched $360,000, twice its estimate at the time, but cheap considering that the same work sold for $850,000 on 11 May last at Christie's, New York, so 11 May 2011. In November 2005, the art photography market appeared to have crossed a psychological threshold when a contemporary photograph brought a 7-figure bid. That was the first for the contemporary art market world. The bid was for this work by Richard Prince, and it is the famous cowboy. And this is a large ectochrome measuring 1.7 meters wide, and it was acquired for $1.1 million on 8 November 2005 at Christie's, New York. It is a limited edition of 2. At the time, Richard Prince became the world's most expensive contemporary photographer on the market with his appropriated Marlboro Art Cowboy. And 6 months later, Prince's top spot position was taken by the German artist Andreas Gursky with this work, 99 cents. So this famous work by Andreas Gursky went all the way to $2 million at Sotheby's. It won the 10 May 2006. And this is a large work, more than 3 meters, and it came from a limited edition of 6. As of 2005, the number of million-plus adjudications for photographs considerably accelerated. There have been a total of 26 over the last 5 years, so between 2006 and July 2011, despite a sharp slowdown at the top of the market in 2009, because there are 0 million plus adjudication in 2009. And the price inflation trend has already been confirmed this year with no less than 5 seven-figure results over the first 6 months of 2011. And above all, a new global photography record set for a work by the American artist Cindy Sherman. This work, entitled, it is a work from the Centerfold series, realized in 1981. So this work fetched $3.4 million at Christie's New York, 11 May 2011, versus an estimate range of $1.5 to $2 million. The print is one of a limited edition of 10. So I would like to a few words now on Cindy Sherman. After a career spanning 33 years and a dozen or so of photographic series, collectors have sufficient insight to know exactly what they like in her work. They are relatively unenthusiastic about her organic or monstrous series, and they seem to prefer the historic series, like the Untitled Film Stills and the centerfolds and horizontals from 1981, and they also like her most cynical pastiches and the works from the Hallmasters paintings or of recent society women on the wane. Over the last 12 months, Cindy Sherman is the Artist of the Year in terms of auction performance, with not just the World Champion title, but also an exceptional annual revenue totaling $15.7 million. That is by far the best annual revenue performance, ahead of Andreas Gorsky with $11.9 million over the same period, and well ahead of Hiroshi Sugimoto in third place, which closed to $3.5 million. Apart from a big number of results, remember that Cindy Sherman's work is not always expensive, and 40% of her works are in fact accessible for less than $6,000 at auction, particularly photos produced in editions of 100 or more. Indeed, this affordable aspect of the photography market is one of the primary advantages being open to a broad range of amateur collectors. So today, as we speak, the most expensive photography works on the market are signed by the German artist Andreas Gorsky, the Americans Richard Prince and Cindy Sherman, and the Japanese artist Hiroshi Sugimoto. These 4 artists are the only contemporary artists to have generated results over $1 million in the art photography segment. Together, they have signed 27 seven-figure results. They are also responsible for 39 of 50 best auction results in contemporary photography market. But apart from these record-setting stars, the high end of the photography segment in contemporary field is also occupied by artists like Vic Muniz, Mike Kelley, Thomas Strass, De Becher, David Lachapelle, Gilbert and George, Pierre et Gilles, and more recently by Wade Guiton, Rachid Rana, Florian Mayer-Aiken, and Matthew Day Jackson. These artists are very much in demand, and the auction houses rely very much on these names to guarantee the success of their photography sales. In recent months, the avalanche of records recently posted for historical and modern photographs has once again proved the growing trend of interest in this market. In fact, over the last few years, we have seen multiplication of specialized sales, of specialized exhibitions, and major cultural projects, art fairs dedicated to the medium, and investment funds also specialized in photography. For example, this year there is a major Moscow-based investment fund launched a vehicle called Sobrani, focused on photography. And the photography market, most certainly with all these funds and fairs and exhibitions, etc., has a prosperous future. It is only at the beginning of its history, as I was telling at the beginning of the talk, and it represents today only 1.5% of total fine art auction sales, so only 1.5% for photography now. If we combined all the period and all the medium. Moreover, photography is totally in phase with today's zeitgeist and the cult of the image, and it is an ideal medium for hungry collectors and investors, especially as it takes up little space and is easy to store. And if the European and the US markets for photography are still young, the Asian market has only just hatched and is just learning to fly, carried notably by the emergence of specialized fairs. For example, in Singapore, there is also Tokyo Photo and Photo Beijing. And these fairs will no doubt broaden the taste of a whole new generation of amateur collectors. Unlike the photography segment, the other new media are not yet proposed in specialized sales or followed by specialized art departments in auction houses. Although video and light installation are regularly sold at auctions, contemporary art catalogs contain few new media artworks, and the secondary market has not yet integrated other types of new tech works. Considered as emerging artistic practices, they are presented around the world by the festival, the fairs, the exhibitions, etc., but they are rarely written up and, above all, have not yet found their economic model. So I'm going to talk now about video and light and sound installations, the second part of the talk. I need it. So, video installations and multimedia works had a strong impact on the public imagination via these major exhibitions in the 90s and in the first century, the beginning of the millennium. Their presence in exhibitions and museums is nowadays a familiar sight, but they are not like other artworks in the sense that they require special setting up and management. And as technology evolves, obsolescence is an integral aspect of these works, and even if it is always possible to transfer video from one format to another under the control of the artist and or the control of the gallerist, questions relating to presentation, conservation, the original versus reproduction have meant that only a very small number of initiates have risked collecting video with any assiduity. Moreover, the notion of possessing an immaterial work is by nature a long way from the art market's traditional customs. While new media artworks are often presented at biennales, festivals, and exhibitions around the world, they are still not the subject of specialized sales on the secondary market, and it is a very important point. I thought a classification by medium may appear somewhat artificial in a contemporary art segment characterized by hybridity and heterogeneity and constantly transgressing traditional artistic frontiers. We acknowledge that from a strictly art market perspective, buying habits are extremely deep-rooted. Even if collectors are becoming more adventurous these days. The media most sought after at auction are the classic, which are easier to store and easier to exhibit, and which entail fewer conservation problems than more experimental works. Having rapidly summarized the reasons for market resistance to video, light, and sound installations, in general, allow me to cite a number of exceptions and possible alternatives to the traditional market. So the first exception, take for example the auction performances for artists like Bill Violin, Nam June Paik, Felix Gonzalez Torres, and Mike Kelly. The figures show that prices are indeed very high for artists with well-established names. Although we will not analyze the markets of each of these artists, I propose that we take a closer look to Nam June Paik and Bill Violin. So Nam June Paik, which is the major precursor in the field, because in the 50s he was already distorting images with magnets, and Nam June Paik had an historical legitimacy, and this historical legitimacy has recently been confirmed by a number of auction records. In May 2007 was a record month for video art with Paik, signing his record just 4 days before that of Vostell. So here is an installation entitled Wright Brothers. It was sold at Christie's Hong Kong for 4.2 million of Hong Kong dollars. It is 540,000 US dollars.